on. With today being one of the last days of Pride Month, we wanted to shout out a former Redskin, Washington football team player who was a Redskin at the time. That was in the Hall of Fame. That was in the closet and came out afterwards. Our Pride Month spotlight, Jerry Smith, was a tight end for the Washington Redskins, got drafted in 1965. All-star career, a great guy, well-liked by his team, well-liked by his coaches and his fans, and was closeted homosexual. This was in, obviously, the late 60s and early 70s when it was still very taboo and not accepted at all. He came out in 1978, a year after he retired, first just to some of his teammates and some of his close friends. And then it kind of got more traction when he moved down to Texas and he co-owned a gay bar called the Boathouse. So that was a decision that he kind of regretted because that kind of made it more mainstream. And the thing that stinks is that at the time, he was a great player. He was very well liked. But since there was such a stigma against homosexuality and everything like that, he had to move back to Silver Spring, Maryland. And he just, it was rough on him for some years, just because obviously we know it was not accepted. It was not talked about. And like I brought it up last week, and it was something that had I not looked it up and had I not heard about it by watching a lot of Washington stuff already in the past, I wouldn't have known about him. Will, we were talking about that, I had taught you that. I didn't know any major detail. I just remember hearing that he had a book that came out and he had gone through this stuff. But he was a stud. And unfortunately, he was not able to get the proper adulation and proper attention because of the timing that he came. And it's a shame because, there probably were a number of other people that were closeted that weren't able to come out and express themselves. And you shouldn't have to live like that. We understand the situation, but at the same time, shout out to him, man. He passed away in 87. Shout out to him. Great legacy.
In the Hall of Fame. He's
no. Not in the Hall of Fame. No.
Yo, man.
Is he in the Ring of Fame?
I went to the Hall of Fame. He was in the Washington Ring of Fame. But I went there. He was not in the NFL Hall of Fame. Not to my knowledge.
No. What I was saying is just that's we all know why, though.
Oh, well, yeah.
We already know why. We're gonna sit here and
come on now.
The theory, what to come on? But no, for real, man. I'm just reading it right now, Sean. He held the tight end record for touchdowns. It's a career touchdown record for 25 years.
Yeah.
25 years, bro.
Yeah.
And he's not in the Hall of Fame, not being talked about Hall of Fame. Sad, man. That's sad, bro.
And it's a shame. It's a shame. And he's definitely somebody that I think that needs to be in there. Like I said, he is inducted to the Washington Ring of Fame, but he's got the stats. Like you said, he held that record. He was a well-liked player and a dominant player in his era. Helped Washington to get to the Super Bowl in '72, where he lost to Miami. He was a solid player and well-liked by his team. However, like we said, there was that stigma. There was that thing about it in the 70s and 80s and even in the 90s. So, shout out to him. But it's sad that, he's not getting the attention he deserves. So we had to shout him out.
And let me add this. Let me drop this down too.
Talk to him.
The scoring record. That's everybody, right?
Yeah,
the scoring record, 27 years.
Ooh.
Come on, man. We got to do better, man. We got to do better, man. That's not right. It's not right at all, bro.
You were absolutely right.
Yeah, how I wonder why the team doesn't bring this guy up more either.
Mm-hmm.
Make him more of a household name. We know Bobby Mitchell. We know Charlie Taylor. This guy's putting up numbers. And like last week, Sean, you introduced me to him.
Yeah. And it's funny because I was watching. I remember when I first had learned about him, I was watching something about Bobby Mitchell and Charlie Taylor and those guys, and how he gravitated towards those guys And they kind of knew because he was more open with those guys that he was closer to, and those were black guys who obviously were dealing with their issues on their end. But it was just that it's upsetting because of how good he was. Straight up, great job with the stats and things. It's upsetting how good he was. The simple fact of who he wants to love or who he wants to be with really chopped down however great he was. That's terrible.
Mhm.
It was our time, but you know what? We're not going to even bring that down because we're at a time that we can't talk about it. And this being one of the last days of Pride Month, we got to bring that up.
Mhm.
I wanted to definitely bring it up because he's well deserved. Well deserved of it. So from that positive news, we have to move on